Only two words I would say is white coding. Yeah, don't do that because white coding apparently in the hardware world, instead of making things work, they actually make things worse. So you just want to avoid that. The first advice you would see in electronics or hardware world is that just grab an Arduino or make a robot or robotic arm. But that is not how things work. Because in that case, you're just attaching different blocks and you do not know what's going on inside those blocks. For example, you do not know how resistors work, or for example, you do not know how LDRs work or how servo motors work. You just understand how to put them together. And that is the worst mistake of your life. So to get started, you just don't need any books. Make a list of all the basic components, for example, resistors, capacitors, the brilliant transistors, then we have MOSFETs, and understand how they work by spending at least 1 hour on each component and then make a relevant project from there. For example, if I say transistor can work as an amplifier or as a switch, then you can make a simple circuit using transistors to blink an LED or something like that. Once you have learned about the components, next is the stage of microcontroller boards. Now you're going to get started with Arduino boards, ASP boards, or STM32. Make sure you do not spend much time on Arduino IDE and move on to Visual Studio Code with Platform IO or maybe ESP IDF. Once you do that, make sure that you experiment with every sensor or actuator and make mini projects, for example, the smart garden or a robotic dog. But make sure that you do not copy the whole code from YouTube or use ChatGPT or AI tools. Instead, experiment out on your own. For example, if you're making a self-balanced robot, instead of copy pasting how that guy made in the YouTube, use that video as a reference and learn it from here. And then do your own research about Kalman filters or PID tuning and implement it on your own robot. Lastly, I would say this video is all about getting started. I would try to make a video on if you are already familiar with the component and the microcontroller stage, how do you improve your hardware projects, or how do you become more professional, or how to get started with PCB designing, but more on that later. Signing off.